Today is September the 27th. I'm in the Pearlman home interviewing Jeneane Pearlman at the Bonaventure. And hi.
Hi. It's nice to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to start like we did with your husband at the, with your family, where they were born, and if they were born in the United States, where your grandparents were born.
My grandparents, the paternal grandparents, one was from Egypt and one was from, I don't know where my grandfather was from.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother on the other side was from England, and grandfather from Austria. He always told, he said, the same story that you read everywhere. He had $17 in his pocket and he made it. You know, the old story.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were both born in the United States, my dad in New York, but never lived there.
Mm-hmm.
Or they came, I don't know. He didn't live there very long and they moved to Topeka.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was born in St. Joe, Missouri, lived there till she married. And I was born in Wichita, Kansas. I lived there for 3 years. I went to Oklahoma City, where my folks knew what was it, May? Mel's.
Uh-huh.
The Mel, they knew them. Anyway, lived there for 3 years. And then we lived in Springfield, Missouri for 6 months. And then we moved to San Antonio. So I've been a Texan since I was 7.
Why
my dad was in the jewelry business.
Oh.
And in each case it was a step up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was 6 or 5, I don't remember, he joined the sale organization, which was small. He opened store number 8 in San Antonio, and I have no idea how many they ended up with. But then we were there for 6 years, 7 years. And then they went into the, like Corrigan's, the higher end, and he was sent to Houston to open the first Guild store. That's what I was trying to say. And they lived there, and I lived there until I married. And then Aaron went in service, and we moved to Augusta, Georgia. And while we were in Georgia, my parents moved to Dallas. Daddy was promoted again to...
What's the year on that? What?
1956.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I can remember, we've been involved with Dallas community since 1957 because my parents were always involved. Mother was always doing something with council, and Daddy was working.
Mm-hmm.
He gave of his money, but not of his time because he had a 7-day job. And I don't know, I was just brought up to be involved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Younger Set started, am I getting ahead of myself?
No.
Younger Set started shortly after we moved here. I don't remember exactly. But the second year that it was here, I think Barbie Lewis was the first chairman, and I was the chairman after that, as I remember, of Younger Set.
Mm-hmm.
It just started in the late 50s or early 60s. And then I just worked for Federation mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I was vice chairman under Ruth Coleman Jacobson.
Mm-hmm.
And I received the award for outstanding whatever.
You've gotten several awards. I've kind of kept up with you through the years because of Judy.
Yeah.
You were very active in council, as your mother was too.
Yes, council, sisterhood. I was on the
board.
No, well, I was on the board of everything.
Yeah.
I was on the board. I mean, they find one. They get you. Mm-hmm. Once you're on some board, then somebody else wants you on their board. And I don't remember. It seems like I was on the board of every one of the federation never held an office as, you know, a president or vice president or anything, but I was on the board, and I got the Hall of Fame, the Sisterhood Hall of Fame.
Okay.
A few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, Temple. And then we became very involved with Vogel. And that was, Aaron may have already told you, through Doris and Larry.
No.
Oh, okay, well, I gave up charity work for a little while and went to work.
For what?
My dad was in the retail business. I loved the retail business. Or I did for 19 years anyway. I worked for, we opened Needle and Haystack. Doris Budner and I opened Needle and Haystack. And
Was there one other person?
Joan Hansel
Mm-hmm.
and Judy, well, her name was Stahl
Mm-hmm.
at the time.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But Doris and I
Mm-hmm.
opened the store, and then they came in. And then after about 10 years, Doris got involved with the Alcove, and then she decided that she wanted to do a big fundraiser. So who else to help them but good old Jeneane and Aaron. So we got involved with that, and Doris and I knew nothing about giving an event. But somebody gave us the name of the head of the Meyerson. And we made an appointment with them. They said, oh yeah, they'd be glad to work with us. And they gave us a couple names of people to call that knew how to get event going and who knew how to do ticketing. And we got Jeneane Pearlman for the first one. And we really honestly thought he'd give us back the money. We paid him $50,000, and we honestly were naive enough to believe that, oh, what a good cause, he'll give us back the money. Well, it didn't happen.
So you learned a little bit more.
We learned a little bit more. But anyway, we just went from there, and I think we did, Aaron and I were involved with the Alcove event for 20 some odd years, even after Doris and Larry passed away. And then we quit about 3 years ago because it was time for younger people to take over. It needed to change. And we thought that was the right thing to do. So we got out of that.
How has Dallas changed for you since?
Well, it's grown so.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, when we first came here, 1956, we went to Rosh Hashanah services in Augusta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about the size of the chapel at Temple.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 days later, we were here, and Temple Emanu-El wasn't quite ready.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the services at Fair Park.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just mind-boggling to go, you know, from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I joined everything. I found my first checkbook not long ago. And I mean, Pioneer Women and Hadassah, everything, because I didn't know what I wanted to be involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And I met people. As funny as it seems, well, if you go to the University of Texas, you know the immediate world anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to know Dallasites,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to meet people. And the first, having been in the jewelry business, my dad would never take anything from anybody, any of the reps or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got married, you know, I got from all the silver companies, everybody gave them.
Yeah.
And the first time I went to a Hadassah meeting, they had a drawing, a prize thing, and I got a silver tray, which was almost comical because I never won anything in my life, and I come home with this big silver tray. But I joined everything and then selected what I wanted to do. But it's grown so. I mean, we all know this was, I don't know, out here it was farm, I guess.
Remember.
My uncle, Chick Gardner, was very involved with developing Addison. And I said, oh, Uncle Chick, I would love to. But, you know, he was talking to Daddy one day about some property on Northwest Highway in Inwood. And I said, he said, I think we can pick it up for $6 an acre. Well, I don't know where I was, but I thought he meant $6. And so he said, I said, well, I'd love to be involved with some of that. He said, I'll call you next time. Well, he found some other property, and he called me, or maybe it was that one. He said, you really want to be involved with this? I said, yeah. He said, well, it's so many acres and 6,000 an acre. I said, what? I called my daddy. I said, you got to get me out of this. I mean, you get naive, and he developed a lot of that. So he would have a lot of foresight. But that was, I mean, that was the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
No, I remember when I moved here in '60. We used to go out to the country for fried chicken on Forest and Preston.
Right.
Youngbloods.
Well, we went, it's never been anything quite like Youngbloods. We used to pick it up for the kids. When we go out, we pick up, and the smell of it going home, which is,
yeah.
Yeah, which is, you almost couldn't stop yourself. We lived on Alta Vista. We were the last street before the farm, or the farmland, and but the field mice were just common. And it got to the point where I'd look out the door and, you know, a mouse was looking in. I said, oh, honey, there's another mouse out there. Yeah, but I didn't like it, but that's how much it's grown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that was before Hockaday. The Hockaday was built right across the street. That was our first home.
I want to backtrack. You went to high school here?
No.
No. Okay.
At the high school in Houston.
Houston. Okay. Okay.
And I still have a lot of friends up at the high school.
Did you ever meet with any anti-Semitism growing up? You know, from small town to bigger town to medium town to Houston?
Yeah, I don't remember any. All my friends were Jewish. I mean, these days that doesn't happen. But you never went, every boy you went out with was Jewish. Or you went to college, you joined a Jewish sorority. Yeah, those things have changed considerably. I don't remember any anti-Semitism. And we didn't know about racism because that was just the way things were when you lived in the South. You didn't know you liked it or didn't like it. It's just, it was accepted.
Something to think about.
It wasn't, no, it wasn't, you know, it was something, it wasn't something to think about. And then, can I get a little bit political?
Sure.
Okay. When I came to Dallas, one of the things I got involved with was the North Dallas Democratic Women. Pardon me. And they used to do plays to raise money for the Democratic Party. And Ann Richards wrote the plays. And she always played LBJ. And it was such fun.
Oh.
We would do the plays at Hillcrest and raise money, Hillcrest High School.
Oh,
and
okay.
we did a couple of nights, and it was a blast. And I don't know how many years later, it had to be maybe 10, 15 years ago, I don't know, when Ann was governor. I mean, I hadn't seen her since. And I went there for an event, and I went up to her to say hello. She said, hi, Jeneane, how are you?
Oh, gosh.
Which was just mind-boggling, because I was not that big a deal in her life.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of person she,
Yeah.
but having worked with her was
Was
amazing. And it was fun.
Yeah.
And one time.
Plenty of dirty words.
Oh, yeah. And but not in the play. And then one time, another girl, and I don't remember who, was sitting in the Adolphus Hotel selling tickets to John Connolly dinner. And somebody walked up and said, hi, girls, how's it going? And we looked up, and he's standing there, and he was so handsome. You know, just went. So that was fun too.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the thing that passed.
What we're going through decades. What has been your favorite decade?
College.
College. At Texas.
At Texas. And you know, the years too, of course, raising kids isn't easy, we all know that. But the years when they can come home from school and you open the door and ran out to play, and at 6 o'clock you stood on the front porch like a fishwife and hollered, Ray, Stuart, come home for dinner, you know, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they don't do that anymore. They rode their bicycles to school, and, you know, it doesn't happen anymore.
Aaron told me, your husband told me how you met, but I want to hear your version.
Oh, well, he wouldn't tell it the same way I told it.
That's right.
No, we met because he was the best dancer. He was definitely the best dancer in the ACA. And one of my girlfriends, he liked one of my girlfriends, and I liked him. And then she started going with somebody else, and she gave me Aaron. And we were 16. And we had one day, and we were talking about how many children we were going to have, and where we're going to have a Christmas tree, which I'd had all my life. I grew up very, very reformed. And I couldn't imagine not having a Christmas tree. I never had one. I mean, that's something small to give up. But it was love at first time, 16 years old.
So he left the religion up to him.
Well, not exactly. He was conservative, and I was reform, and we didn't have a Christmas tree, but that was it. I mean, he went with me. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. Aaron's parents weren't living, as you already know. And Aaron was the son that my parents didn't have, and he was the parents that he didn't have. They were, and it was a nice family. It was a very close family thing. But I survived in the Army without my mother and daddy. I was the only child. It's a good way to grow up. And it's good. It's good to move away and not have parental influence every day. And in those days, you didn't just pick up the phone and call. It cost money. You know, and that's how we met. And that was a done deal. I went to college one semester before he did because he was midterm. And I had a good
He went
time.
to Texas also.
But everybody knew my boyfriend was coming. But everybody dated everybody then. You know, all the pledges went out with all the pledges. I mean, it was just a different, a different time. And then he came to school, and I still dated other people. We didn't go steady, but we always knew we were going to get married one day. We did. When we got pinned, I said, did my daddy say it was okay? So help me. He said, call him. It was like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I called him and I said, is it okay? And Daddy said, yes. I mean, I was a daddy's girl. Yeah, but they didn't want us to get serious, so we had.
How many brothers and sisters?
I don't have any.
You were an only child. Lucky.
And I wanted another brother or sister until I was about 10, maybe 8. And I realized how good I had it. You know, and I did fine. I've always been very fortunate to have friends. And, you know, friends are, I don't know how people exist without friends. That's your other family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've always been very fortunate to have close friends. Some of whom I'm still very close to. You know, from Ruthie Clyman was my roommate at college.
Oh, my God.
And, you know, she lives here in the building now. I mean, we're still very, very close. And we're like sisters. And it's so I never missed having sisters or brothers. Aaron had 3. And I was lucky we got good relationships. We didn't have that much in common because of age, but we had a good relationship with his family. And I'm sure that his mother would not have been I mean, I would have always respected the mother-in-law as opposed to some of my children's.
Yeah, right. You started going and Ruth stopped the camera.
She must have stopped it again.
Who were your role models? Or are your role models?
I don't know. I mean, I tried to follow in the values that my parents had, but I couldn't pick one person. It was
a collection.
It was a collection of I don't know.
Well, you've led a very successful life. Have I left anything out? Any little stories you'd want to
I think I've
talk
talked
about?
about stories.
Her.
I don't know. had a good life. We've been healthy. I've had quite a few surgeries, but I've come through them. They've all been bones. I mean, I'm no fun to go through the track. Yeah, the back, the foot, the leg, the hip. I just had a knee replacement. But you know, this too passes. And we've lived here about 8.5 years. And it's a fun place to live.
Yeah. You live in a city.
Yeah.
All
And
you need is a grocery store.
Right. It's very easy to get cloistered. You make plans with the people you see all the time, as opposed to good friends that live elsewhere. It's not good. It's sometimes hard to keep up with old friends who are like family. We're happily married. There's no chance. There's no chance either one of us are going to take a walk. Our kids are good. You know Randy, and he's the light of my life.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the light of a lot of lives.
And he is involved with theater now. And every time I think about the possibility that he might go to New York, my nose gets red and my eyes get teary. And that's just pure selfishness, because I want him to do that.
But look at all the miles you could get.
I'm saving up miles now. Everything's going on the American Airlines card.
Oh, what? Oh, it stopped. No more juice. Okay. Thanks. That was great.
I mean, I don't know, you know, it's funny when you say about a role model, because I really don't know.
Well, what I'll tell you now that it's off.
I had forgotten to mention that when the Dallas, it was at SMU and the Jewish students, and they started an organization, and I was called to be on the board. And I kind of hesitated, and they said that Nancy Caston, being the chaplain at SMU, she was the assistant chaplain, would be involved with it. And I thought the chance to work with her, she was young, I think she was pregnant with her first child or second, whatever. And just the idea of working with her, and I did that for a couple of years. And that was a wonderful experience. And the other thing that is a good story is my dad, this guy they started a fellowship or scholarship at SMU for the Gartner Scholarship in the humanities. And when Daddy retired, and so it ran out of money. I mean, it didn't run out of money, but each year they would ask him for more and more and more. So finally he said to Hal, whatever his name was, who was chairman of Dedman School, that was it. He wasn't going to get many more. There was just use what they had. So he said, fine, I understand now. So he said, but let's do this next one. Lady Bird Johnson is going to be the speaker. And he said, fine, you know. And then they did a dinner at the Tower Club afterwards. And so Liz, what was her name? Liz Smith?
Carpenter.
Liz Carpenter was the Lady Bird's secretary. And she said,
I have to stop.
Carpenter, after the Lady Bird's speech, said, Mr. and Ms. Pearlman, you ride with me and let Mr. Gartner go in the limousine with Mrs. Johnson. He said, fine. We get down there, and he was seated, we were all seated at the main table with Mrs. Johnson and so forth and so on. And on the way home, Hal, the dean, said to Daddy, did you have a good time with Mrs. Johnson? She was his table mate. And he said, yeah. He said, listen, call me tomorrow, Hal. He said, I'll give you some more money. He knew what he was doing. But I forgot to mention, it was the Campus Jewish Network. And they were trying to get the Jewish students involved with campus activities. There's a lot more Jewish students now than there were then. And it was very successful, and it was good. But working with Nancy was a treat.